What is up, beautiful people? TJ here with another episode. Today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about flipping your first liquidation pallet. It doesn't necessarily have to be a liquidation pallet, but flipping your first thing. I'm going to give you my general process for processing liquidation and reselling items. My name is TJ Lovelady. I am a business person. I am an entrepreneur. I am a reseller, and I make videos showing you different side hustles, how to make a couple dollars on the side, sometimes turning it into a full business. So if you like those types of videos, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also hit that like button, really helps the channel out. So I'm going to get into this list. I have 5 items that I'm going to go through of things that I do when I source liquidation pallets and flip them for profit. So the first thing I do is source like you mean it. So sourcing is one of those kind of topics that everybody talks about. That's the thing that you see most of all on YouTube is people sourcing items, people buying stuff, people going to thrift stores, people going to yard sales, people purchasing liquidation pallets, people going to bin stores. There's so many different ways to source items, and honestly, that's the fun part about doing this reselling thing, is finding those items, especially when you find an item that you buy for $2 and you can sell it for $200. Those are the times that a lot of people like. You get those endorphins and you start almost like fiending for finding those good finds. But sourcing is only part of it. That's a very large part of having a successful business, but sourcing is only a small portion of it. So I did do a pretty lengthy course for different ways you can source, especially if you don't have a place close to you to source items from. So if you want to check that out, we'll put it up here in the cards. But I'm going to talk through a couple of sources that I use to buy liquidation pallets, and also I buy other items, manifested lots and different things like that. So the first place that I want to talk a little bit about is Bulkcom. Bulk.com is a liquidator. They sell liquidation pallets. They also sell cases, and they have warehouses in a couple different places, but the one that I normally source from is here in Tennessee. So shipping on those items are not that expensive for me, but I know if you are in California, it can be a little bit expensive for you to get those items shipped to you. So definitely pay attention to the shipping costs for those items, because that's going to cut into your profit. Obviously, that's going to bring your profit down just a little bit. So make sure you're looking at that when you're sourcing those items. The one thing I really like about Bulk.com is the manifest. You can go through and look at the manifest on each and every lot that they have. It gives you time to kind of research and kind of look and see how profitable you can be with a pallet, a liquidation pallet, or a liquidation box. You can really look and see the potential for what you're going to make before you even get the box. So that's one of the really good things about Bulk. They also have like an awesome app. So you can go on the app and you can look at the items, while you're, instead of getting on TikTok or Instagram, you can be sitting there scrolling through, looking at the Bulk website and find some really cool deals on there. Now, I will say with purchasing liquidation pallets and boxes online, the shipping cost is going to be, that's one of the largest costs that comes with that. So you really have to be cognizant of how much money you are going to make, or the potential for what you're going to make versus how much it costs to ship those items to you. So Bulk.com is a really good source. I always tell people to go try them out first, especially if you're new. There's also other places that you can purchase liquidation pallets from online. Direct liquidation, you can go to via trading. Liquidation.com and Bstock is also a place that you can purchase from. So definitely check all those sources out and see what the prices are. Kind of get to know the owners and the people that work there, because those are going to be the people that you're going to be doing business with. Building relationships with in the liquidation and the reselling game is really key, because you really need to build those relationships in order so they can understand your business and you can understand their business. And I've just found that in this game, it's all about the people that and then a lot of times they can get you the best deal possible. So make sure you are building those relationships, understanding who they are. Most of these places have social media sites, so you can hop on their Instagram, you can hop on their Facebook page, and kind of interact with them and understand their business model and where they source from and all those different things. So very, very important to make sure that you are building those relationships. So sourcing, like I said, is a big, huge thing. That's a large part of purchasing and flipping a liquidation pallet. But you know, that's not the only part of it. There's also other things that you will have to do in order to be successful in this business. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is inventory. So I always stress this because me and April, we struggled with this at the very beginning of our business. We did not inventory our items. We didn't really understand where our items was when we got them in, where they were at, where they were stored. And then we oversold items because we listed items twice. So really look at a way that you can organize your inventory in a way that works for you. The way that we organize our inventory, we obviously have a brick and mortar store, but you don't have to have a brick and mortar store. You can do this in your garage. But we have just shelves, and then we have bins and totes, and we label the bins and totes. And on eBay, there's a custom SKU option in the listing, and in the listing you can put what bin or what tote that item is in, and that way it's very easy to retrieve whenever you sell those items. You don't know, they're not lost. You can find them. You can very quickly go through and make sure that your items are listed, make sure that they're priced correctly. If you keep seeing the item that's in your bins or in your totes, you may want to go check and see if it's still listed, because eBay has the propensity to unlist your items without you knowing. So, you can go through and just see that, make sure your items are still listed. Make sure that your items are priced according to what the item is selling for at that time. That's really, we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But inventory is very key for being organized and understand where you're at in terms of how much stuff you have. Spend the time, take the time at the beginning to get a really good, robust inventory system in the beginning. I'm gonna leave it at that, because you need that. That's very, very good information to have. All right, so after you get your inventory done, you got all your sourcing done, you got your stuff at your store or in your garage or in your storage building, wherever you want to store your items. You sometimes have to test the items. So I've set up different testing stations for things that we have to test. We get a lot of electronics in, and some of the stuff is easy as plugging it in and seeing if it works. Some of the stuff you have to charge it up and make sure the battery holds charge also, and make sure the item works as the item is supposed to work. So definitely understanding what you need to do to test the item. You're not going to always know every little feature. You're not going to always be able to test every little feature, but make sure if you are listing an item and you haven't tested it fully, meaning that you haven't tested out each and every function, make sure you just put that in the listing and let the people know that is potentially purchasing this item, that you haven't tested this feature, so you don't know if it works or not. And it's only going to help you in the end, just to be honest with you, because if you send an item out and you say, okay, this item works because you plugged it in and it turned on, but the battery doesn't hold charge, and then when the person gets it and they charge it and the battery doesn't charge, now they're going to get a return and they're going to send it back to you. So definitely make sure that you are testing your items. It's a long, tedious process, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's one of the things that I loathe about reselling. Sometimes it's fun. There's definitely times where it's fun, to test items, especially when you're getting something cool. But just the normal items, it's annoying, just to be honest with you. But definitely it's important. You need to set aside time to test your items. The way that my workflow works is we get the items in, we inventory everything, and then we go through and we sort out everything based on if it needs to be tested, if it needs to be cleaned, if it's missing parts. We kind of just sort everything out. That way we know the level of difficulty it's going to be for listing those items. Some people have suggested, and this is one thing kind of newly suggested to me. What I used to do is I used to list the easy items first, which is easy. You go through and you list the easy items, and then you look at those hard items. They kind of get brushed to the side, and you end up getting what we call in the reselling world a death pile. So those are all the items that you have that aren't listed, that need to be listed, and you haven't listed those. Those items pile up, and then you kind of get annoyed because you have all this crap that you don't have listed. So what they suggested to me was list your hard stuff first. Get that stuff out of the way, get the stuff tested, get the accessories that you need if you need to get some accessories to make it whole, or if you're going to sell items that are broken, or whatever you're going to do, get those hard items listed and out of the way first, and then go into your easier items to list, because obviously those are going to be a lot easier to list. I think that was Heather that said that. Heather, let me know if that was you that said that. That was really good advice. So definitely understand how to test items. There's different tutorials you can find on YouTube about different ways to test stuff. Like if you have a Ring camera, obviously you can't plug that in. I made a little tutorial about how to hook up like a little test rig for electrical items. But most of the time you won't need that. Just gonna be honest with you. It's just me and I'm overkill. All right, so the next big thing that you need to understand is the sold comps. So a lot of people, when they go and they source items, especially if you're not in the reselling game for a long time, you'll look at what an item is listed for. You'll go to eBay and you'll pull up the item. And you say, oh, well, this item is listed for $90. This is a good buy. Well, then if you don't go and check what the items are actually selling for, you could be setting yourself up for failure, because I've had items literally today that I went and purchased from the bin store. And when I looked at the listings, they was all listed for like $90, but they were only selling for like 40. I'm looking at the last like 10 solds, and they all sold for 40, 45, around that range. And an item is only worth what somebody's going to pay for it. And that fluctuates over time based on just availability. There's a bunch of different factors that fluctuate a price. But you need to know what your item is going to sell for. You need to know what people are actually paying for your item. So there's a quick and easy way you can do this on your eBay app. All right, so on your eBay app, you can look up whatever item it is. This is going to be the items that are listed. So if it's white, that means that's the items that's listed. You click on filter, you go down to sold and completed items. You click on that, and you have the sold items. If it's in green, that means that's what the item sold for. If it has a slash through it, that means they took an offer and you don't know exactly what they paid for the item. So once you understand what your item is going to be sold for, you can appropriately price it. Now, we'll tell you that this does fluctuate quite a bit over time. So if you have an item that's been listed for quite a while, you may want to go back and look and see what the item is selling for now, because sometimes you may need to drop it $10 to get into the algorithm to actually be sold. So if your item's been sitting for a while, make sure you go look and see what the items are selling for right now, and then price that accordingly. All right, and kind of going with the sold comps and the listing and stuff, don't throw away items that are broken. A lot of people I see on our comments, and they say, oh, this item, we had a whole box full of broken stuff. List your stuff that's broken. List it as broken, untested, for parts only, because even if you can recoup some money back, it's better than you just throw it in the garbage and not getting any money back. Now, obviously, if it's an item that sells for $7, then you probably aren't going to get much money for it. If it sells for like $7 brand new, but we're talking about items that may be $100, $200, $300, and it's broken, but you don't know what components, you can't anticipate what people want to buy. And there's a lot of times there's a buyer for something that you have for sale, even if it's broken. So just make sure that if you are listing broken items, or if you're listing piece parts of items, just make sure that you are being very explicit about that in the listing, and let people know, hey, this is what this item is. This is, it's missing this part is broken, this part doesn't work. And that way it's very laid out in the listing, and they have that granularity to understand what they're actually going to be purchasing, because there's a lot of people that don't read listings and they don't look at pictures. So you're going to face that's going to happen 100%. So just make sure you kind of back yourself up and get that into the listing if you are selling items that are broken or for parts. All right, so now let's go into profitability. Now, this is a kind of a hairy area, because everybody has a different level of what they feel like success is. I look at profitability. We've actually changed the way that we look at profitability. We used to look at profit per item, which sometimes we do reference items, and we say, we paid $5 for this, we sold it for $100, and based on that, this is how much profit we made. But now we're really shifting towards looking at our loads when we go and purchase like an entire load of stuff. So when I say a load, that could be me going to the bin store and buying 10 items. That load of stuff that I paid $60 for, just kind of grouping that all together and saying, okay, well, this stuff was $60, so this item right here is going to pay for this whole $60 worth of stuff, and then the other items are going to be our profit. And the way that the reason we shifted to that model, or we're trying to shift to that model, is because sometimes you get held onto a price, and you may get an item and you may say, oh, this item is $100. This item should be selling for $100. Well, if you've already made $300 on that load of stuff that you bought, and now you're in the profit, you can afford to price that a little bit less so it can be out of the door, because nobody likes to hold on to things for a long time. So I really try to look at holistically at everything that we purchase in a load, and to understand, okay, we just bought a $600, what I would consider like a mystery box, from Bargain Spot LLC in Lenore City. And, within the first 3 or 4 items, we had recouped our $600. So now we have all the rest of these items. We may have 30 plus items left from that load, and I'll be willing to lower the price on some items just to get the items going. And that way I can have funds to purchase new stuff. I can use the funds to pay ourselves. I can, use those funds for other things versus having those items just sit in our store for so long. So, there's different ways you can look at it, but just figure out a way of how you're going to do it. And there's a couple different ways. Like I said, you can do it. You can look at each item, how much you pay for each item. So there's some different ways you can do that. You can look at physically, you paid $3 for this item. Physically, you paid $5 for this item. Or if you got a pallet of stuff, you can just take the amount of the pallet divided by how many items it is, and then how much you pay for each item within that pallet. Doing the other way, the way that I'm talking about, is looking at the load. You can say, okay, well, I paid $600 for this load, this pallet, this box, this haul at the thrift store, and once I recoup my $600 from that, everything else is going to be profit. So you can know, hey, I can kind of loosen up a little bit on the pricing just to get the items to move. So like I said, it's just a mindset and a mind shift, and it's just all about how you want to, run your business. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is packing and shipping. This is very important because packing and shipping is a very huge expense. You are in a reselling business. Now, a lot of people will do free shipping. They have a free shipping model where they put the price or the cost, the estimated cost of what the shipping is into the price of the item, and that works for a lot of people. And then there's also people that charge for shipping for everything. I've done it both ways, and the current model that we're in right now, we actually charge for shipping for most of our items. The shipping cost that we charge them, the customers, is nowhere close to what the actual shipping cost is. But they do help out with shipping, and we do think about how much it's going to cost to ship because we ship so much. We kind of know how much things are going to cost. So we'll, kind of estimate what the shipping cost is going to be, and then we'll get a little help from the customer with the shipping. And I've not seen any dip in sales from going from a free price or free shipping model to this model based on doing that. Definitely, you're going to have to play around with it with your business, understand, what your shipping cost is going to be. We live in Tennessee, so we ship a lot of stuff to California, a lot of stuff to Puerto Rico. We ship things overseas, so there's different shipping costs for different areas. But when you start shipping stuff across, across the country, the shipping costs can go like crazy high. So you want to make sure that you understand the shipping, how much things are going to cost to ship. Understand where you're going to be shipping your items with. So if you're going to be shipping with USPS, make sure you're getting the free boxes. Make sure that you're utilizing the padded flat rate envelopes. You're utilizing the regional rate A and the regional rate B boxes. Make sure that you are using those supplies that they give you for free, so you're not paying for stuff that you don't need to pay for. If you have larger items, understand if those items are going to be cheaper with FedEx or UPS. There's a lot of stuff with shipping. I'm not going to go into with this video. I'm just going to give you a brief kind of synopsis of the shipping. But me and April, we did a very detailed kind of introduction, orientation, if you will, for shipping. If you want to check that out, I will put it up here in the card so you can check that video out. So that's pretty much it for flipping liquidation pallets. It's not that hard. It's actually pretty fun to do. So if you are thinking about it, if you are on the fence about doing it, I will tell you that it can be lucrative if you play the game right and you do what you need to do to make those sales. You have to check and adjust. You can't it's not a one-stop shop. You can't just say, okay, this is the way I'm doing it, and you don't evolve and you don't change with the time. So just make sure you're checking and adjusting as you are growing within your business, as the businesses are growing, as the platforms are growing. There's different platforms. You really have to have an innovative mindset to be competitive in this business. So there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to grow. So hopefully I will be here with you on your journey. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section below. I know I've got like a ton of questions on my last liquidation video. So if you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. I'll try to answer each and every one of them. If there's something I need to make a video about, or if you request a video to be made about a specific topic, just let me know in the comment section below. I'll try to make that video. If you like these types of videos, please like, share, and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Also hit the bell icon so you get notifications whenever I release new videos, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.